Hi, my name is Kiana Moattari. I'm 26 and I'm an actress in LA.
After COVID, I was just so hooked in acting. I was like, I have to do this. And I was like, I don't know how. I don't know anyone in the industry other than my acting coach and like my two friends. But I was like, I just have to do it. Like, I don't have any other choice.
When I look at my very first self-tape to the one I did last week, it's like just a different person, honestly. Like the setup is different, I'm different, just so many things are different. So I would say just do it as much as you can, even if that means throwing spaghetti at a wall for a little bit of time so that you can get that experience.
I'm at a point right now where I'm like, what kind of a person would I have to be like an actor who is at the top of my game? I started acting when I was a kid. I did musical theater when I was like 10 is when I started. I did that for a few years. I was really into it. And then through musical theater, I got into dance. And then I was just like hooked on dance for all of my high school years and then going into college. And I've always wanted to be an actor. Like even when I was dancing, I secretly always wanted to be an actor, but I thought, that's not possible, you can't be an actor. And I suppressed it. I was like, I don't want to do this. This is no. And then while I was dancing, I realized I didn't want to dance professionally. I came out here, I was doing the whole like training in dance, meeting professional dancers, networking, doing all of that. And I was like, yeah, this is not the path for me. But I still didn't want to act. And then when COVID hit and we all got locked down, I did class on Zoom, like an acting class on Zoom for fun. I was like, this is cool. I did this when I was a kid. And then like literally intending on doing it for like a month and then quitting. And then here we are like 5 years later. I'm now pursuing acting. So it's so cheesy, but I literally say like acting chose me. Like I resisted it for so long. I was like, I don't want to do this. But yeah, that's how I got into it. So when I did start acting, I was doing all theater, all musicals. Honestly, I kind of ended up in the film TV side just because of the nature of the Zoom class I took. It was a Zoom class, so we were always on camera. And then the coach was specifically like training us for film TV. And I realized like I'm just better at that, truthfully. Like it takes a lot for me to do stage acting right now, because you need to be a lot more like you're on a stage, there's no mic or like camera close up on you, so you have to be bigger. And I'm just a more subtle person, so I'm like, well, this works for me. So it was really just like the training I got led me into film TV, and just how I am now versus I think when I was a kid, like stage was the only option I had. So that's just what I did and what I progressed in. I still love stage, but yeah, I prefer film at this point. Like when I first came out to LA, I remember for dance, I literally was at Boston Logan Airport and I was like crying in the JetBlue terminal because I was like, what am I doing? Why am I moving? All my friends are here, my family's here. And my dad was like, you don't have to stay. Like just because you're moving, you don't have to stay there. Like if you go for like a week and or not a week, he was like a month, and you hate it, just come back. Like that's always an option. So I knew that was always an option of like, if I come out here and I'm like, nope, like I could just go back to Boston, you know, and like I'm grateful that I have that, because I think some people might not, or whatever their circumstance is. So for me, I had that safety net of like, if I didn't want to be out here for any reason, I could always go home and figure it out. But then after COVID, I was just so hooked in acting. I was like, I have to do this. And I was like, I don't know how. I don't know anyone in the industry other than my acting coach and like my two friends. But I was like, I just have to do it. Like I don't have any other choice. And I was like, I'm gonna regret it if I don't. And that's one thing my coach did say. She was like, I really regret when I was younger not just like going for it more. So when I did come out here like officially, at that point I was like, I just want to do this, so I'll figure it out as I go, kind of a thing. In my mind, I was like, LA is so scary, the people in LA are so scary, the acting industry, like, oh my God, like all these people were up on a pedestal for me, but like as you meet them, you're like, wait, they're person like me, like they have their own insecurities, they have their own things. So like it's so much easier said than done, of course, but the people that I've met so far in the industry, like they're just people. Like you don't need to be afraid of them. You don't need to be afraid of living in LA. I mean, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with my words, but like, yeah, I would say just do it, just try it. Again, and I want to validate the fact that it is terrifying. Like I don't want to be like, it's not scary. It is. Like it's so scary to move somewhere completely new. It doesn't matter if it's LA or like somewhere in Texas or whatever it is. But I feel like you never know until you try. So you just have to try it and then see if it works for you or not. And it will work for you if you want it to work for you. That's my belief as well. Like if you really, really want it, like you'll find a way, and everything else is an excuse. Yeah, so then after COVID, and then when we were able to like we weren't locked down anymore, I did move out to LA at that point, and then that's when I started taking class. I was still on Zoom for a bit, but then I started taking class in person. And this is when I started to kind of grow more as an actor, and then I felt ready to audition. And then that's now kind of where I've bridged that gap from like just taking class to then auditioning. And yeah, at home is pretty much where I do all my auditions. So if you guys want to come with me, I can show you my self-tape setup. Yeah, so welcome to my space. This is where I film pretty much all of my auditions. So from the time when I first get the audition to then doing the audition, I do have a few things that like I consistently always do. So the first thing, honestly, is I look to see how long the audition is, because I need to know how much time I need to do the next thing, which is what one of my coaches calls absorption. So essentially, I have a script here. I can show you. So what I do is I'll like print out the whole script that I get. This isn't an audition, but when I get the audition, I'll print out that script, and then I don't look at any of it, and I'll literally go through like this line by line, and I'll just read every single line one at a time. And what it helps me do is I visualize what's happening, and I kind of start making my own choices and my own decisions about what's happening. And then based on whatever information I keep getting, that'll obviously change. Like if I look at it and I think, oh, this thing means that, but then later you find out it means something else, that's totally fine because it's already all in my head and I created the visuals for all of it. And because I do that, memorizing is super easy for me at this point. Like if I got this, it's like 4 pages. I could memorize this in like less than 30 minutes. So I would just go ahead and memorize the whole thing. And then I'll do this thing called Create a You that my coach has also come up with. And what we do essentially is we just go through and we ask questions of like, who am I as the character? Who am I talking to in the scene? Like, where are we physically? Because that's a really big part of self-tapes, because it's literally a blank wall. You have to be able to bring that environment in to your like little frame that you're showing the casting. And then like, what are we doing? Are we arguing? Are we talking, etc.? And then from there you can come up with like, what do I want in this scene? You know, because in every single scene, even if it's one line, you want something. So I essentially, after I answer those questions for myself, I'll go through and be like, what do I want the other person that I'm talking to? What do I want them to do? And then how do I want them to feel in order to do the thing I want them to do? So that's basically it. So when I get the audition, I'll be like, okay, if it's 8 pages, all right, I need to set aside some time to do this. If it's like 1 or 2 pages, then it's something I can do the day that I get the audition. And that's the other thing. I try to get my auditions in within like 48 to 72 hours of getting them. I don't like to delay them, especially if it's like very, very short. Then I do it the day of or the next day, depending on what time of day I get it. Yeah, so that's pretty much the process of like, from the time I get it to then I absorb it, I do all of that, and then I'm ready to film it. And at that point, I usually have like a couple of friends that we help each other out with our self-tapes. So I'll reach out to one of them and see if and when they're available to help me. If I really can't find anyone, there's a really great platform called We Audition, and I'll just utilize that, and you can like find readers. It's like like literally on-demand readers that will be willing to help you with your self-tapes. And I've started doing something new recently where I will, I set my camera up and I'll just practice the audition without the reader. That's the other thing. Self-tapes are different than when you're working directly with someone, because when we work directly with someone, we want to try to work off of that person as best as we can. But with self-tapes, you're kind of like talking to a ghost. So some of it has to be a little bit pre-planned in certain areas. Of course, you kind of find your way. Sometimes you don't have to pre-plan everything, of course. But because it's a little different than when you're working off of a partner directly, I try to just practice it as best as I can so I know exactly what I'm doing, especially if there's like a lot of action. Then you want to make sure that you practice all that beforehand. That way I don't waste my time and I don't waste my reader's time. And I also like to give myself a time limit when I film, when I'm actually working with my reader. I usually don't like to go more than like 15 minutes, because otherwise I could be here for like 5 hours doing like a one-line scene. So I have to set that for myself as well. So that's why like I prep as much as possible so that when I go to do it, I only need like 1 to 3 takes depending on what it is. I think you also really need to just like have other people look at your self-tape setup and give you advice, because now that everything is pretty much self-tape focused, like your setup just has to be good, and it's just part of the work now. It's part of the career. So you really need to find people you trust and that who know what they're doing to help you figure out where to put your light, like what color background to get, you know, all of these different things. I think sometimes you just need someone else's perspective, because for me, like, it wasn't until I got someone else's perspective that I realized how many things I was doing wrong with my self-tape setup. And now it's like a night and day difference of like where I started to where I am now in terms of how everything looks. I would say learn how to edit your self-tapes. I think a lot of people just rely on like whatever they see in the camera. But you do, I think everyone should be editing it afterwards, because when you film a project, they're editing it afterwards. You know, there's always some kind of post-production. So it doesn't need, I spend less than 5 minutes editing my self-tapes afterwards just to make sure that the lighting is good, that the coloring is good. Because unless you have a professional studio, which I don't think most actors do, you should have some kind of a post-production for yourself on iMovie. Like, it's so easy. But yeah, I would say that, and I would say if you struggle with like memorization, I do think absorbing the material and making pictures for yourself, that's really helped me. I think also memorization is something that comes up for me a lot because I've gotten really strong at memorizing. So people have asked me in the past, like, how do you memorize so quickly, blah, blah, blah. And the real answer is I worked at that. Like, I purposely used to give myself a time limit, and I would be like, okay, I got this script. It's like 3 pages long. I'm going to try to memorize it in 15 minutes. Like, I would just do that, and I just kept doing that. And then you find different memorization techniques that work for you, because something that works for me might not work for someone else, and vice versa. So I would say the memorization part is literally just practice, and you have to tell yourself that you can memorize well. I think that's the other part of it is a lot of people will be like, I'm not good at memorizing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you're just not strong at it. Like, that's all. It's like going to the gym. You know, like, you might not have strong arm strength now, but if you work at it, you will. So same thing with memorization. And if you really, really struggle, the good thing about self-tape is they can't see what's around you, so you can just tape it up and then just like read off of it if you really need to. So I would say those are my tips. I don't know if I'm probably missing some, but yeah, that's kind of the self-tape 101 by what I've learned so far. Yeah, the business side of it, it took me kind of a while to wrap my head around like that like you are your own business as an actor. So I think that's like the most important thing for me is like being able to separate like the business and the craft, and you have to have both, and everyone always says it.
And I'm like, but what does that even mean? So for me, the business side is very much like communication with other people in the industry. So like, you know, when I get communications from my reps or like from my coaches or like casting directors sending audition invites and all of that, like making sure I'm like really on top of like confirming everything, being really up to date with whatever's going on there. You know, don't like replying as quick as I possibly can to things, I think has been a really big lesson for me in the business side. I think as actors especially, you do need to, I believe in like, you don't have to necessarily brand yourself, but you should know what you do well and what you don't do well, and like what kind of parts are gonna work for you right now. Cause like for me, I look really young on camera especially, so like I'm gonna be playing more younger age roles. So I did like a social media clear out, and I made sure like there was nothing on there that would hinder me from getting those kinds of roles. Like, you know, making sure like everything is very like clean and tight and good, so that when a casting director sees your profile or whatever, like, I don't know, maybe they might look you up. You know, I had a director that I worked with one time like randomly start following me on Instagram. It was like so random and weird. It was like nothing weird about it. Like, he was really nice and everything, but it was just weird that he randomly followed me one day. But I was like, well, thank goodness my Instagram and everything was very clean and like very, you know, everything is professional. Cause I think, yeah, obviously you are a person, you're not just this like acting machine, but if you are going to have your social media and stuff be public like that, you need to understand that like you are also representing yourself as an actor at the same time that you're a person, if that makes sense. So it's like I think with acting it's weird because it's like a weird line that keeps getting blurred between like your personal and professional life. But you do need to have, like, I think that you do need to have these things in mind, especially now that like everything is online, everyone's gonna be able to have access to you and all that fun stuff. Oh, I think hobbies are like essential. I really didn't have hobbies even with being a dancer before. I never really I never really continued dancing enough to be like, oh, this is an escape for me. Like, I would just kind of sporadically do it here and there. But this year I've made such a big effort of like, I need to have hobbies outside of acting. I think especially with acting, because it is an art in itself, it's so easy to be like, oh, I don't need to do anything outside of it. But for me, at least, like, if I don't have something to do at all times, I start to spiral. And I think also with acting, because a lot of it is like you're auditioning, and then either the audition, like, you might not see it come to fruition for much later, or like you don't get the part or whatever. It can be kind of, you know, it can be like disheartening sometimes. Like, you just want to have something to do or like something to make. So I like having hobbies like sewing, because it's something that I can see it like from start to finish. I can make it. I have like that finished product. So it's just like a satisfying thing for me. And I think if I didn't have hobbies, then I would be like on social media, like comparing myself to every other actor under the sun, which is not healthy. So I need it for my sanity. Honestly, I need like something to do at all times. Even like reading has been like such a big part of my life in the last year, because now I can like read about other people's stories and experiences that I otherwise wouldn't have. And it's just helped me with my acting, because now if I get a role where it's like, I've never been like had this experience, how on earth do I relate to it, how on earth do I feel it? But I've read about it, I've read someone else having it or whatever. So like, I think all of these things are connected. So for me, I need hobbies, even if it means I stay at home and I just sew for like 2 days straight. You know, it's like it itches a nice scratch in my brain, so I quite like it. It was kind of like this time last year. It was like July, mainly like once we got to August is when I was like, I feel really, really burnt out. Like, I was really overwhelmed, because I take 2 classes a week with my coaches, and then
at the time I had gotten the audition for the feature that I booked last year, and that was like a big mental strain on me because it was just like a really intense scene. And I just, it was also a time where I was just really like, I don't, like the opposite of gratitude. Like I was just very like entitled and like petty and like everything sucked. Like I couldn't appreciate anything I had. So I think it was just that perfect storm of like, I was overwhelmed with class. I was overwhelmed with my auditions. And then I was just like really, like I just couldn't appreciate my life. And then that's when like the burnout started. And then once we got kind of to the end of 2024, I was just at a point where I was like, I don't want to do acting right now. Like it was really scary and weird because I went through it with dance, but it felt different because with dance, it wasn't like, it was just kind of like a realization of like, oh, I don't want to do this as a career. It wasn't this whole like thing. But with acting, it was like, I just didn't want to act. I didn't want to be like, I quit, but I also didn't want to audition. I didn't want to go on set. I didn't want to go to class. Like I just didn't want to do anything. So it was just like, I didn't know what to do, I guess. And I was like, okay, like the break has taken me. I didn't take the break. So here we are now. So yeah, I kind of like at the end of the year, I had a meeting with one of my coaches and he was like, what if you just took time off? And I was like, I was like, huh? Like, that's an option? Like, it didn't, because I was so under the impression of, like, you can't take time off. Like, you have to just keep going, doing. And that's what led to my burnout in the first place. So, like, right before the holidays, I told both my coaches, like, hey, like, I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm so stressed. And I just took time off. I didn't submit to any jobs. I think I had, like, one commercial audition during that time, which was totally fine because it was, like, a fun little thing. But I was just very much like, I don't want to audition. I don't even want to think about acting. And that was from like mid-December to like mid-January. And I honestly thought I would need more time to like recover from the burnout. But for me, that's all the time I needed. Like once we kind of got into the new year, I just felt myself wanting to get back into class and back into auditions and all of that. So I just did that. Yeah, I would say future goals. I really, like, I know I can get to a point where acting is the only thing that sustains me. And, like, that's really been, like, the biggest motivator for me at this point is, like, I just want to be able to get a role and be like, I can just focus on this role. I don't have to worry about, like, all these other side jobs. And my personality is like, I still want to do other creative stuff. So I do want to do something with fashion alongside acting. I definitely like want to continue all of that. I love the idea of producing my own work. I've tried writing, I've tried directing. I don't like either of those, but I love the idea of producing my own work. Like I would love to do what a lot of like big actors are doing now, which is they're taking like books and producing them into movies. I would like that so up my alley. So I would love to do something in that world. I'm definitely more drawn to like film, TV, but I think the theater kid in me still wants to do something stage. Like I would love to do anything, maybe not a musical, but like a play somewhere, like New York, preferably New York, Broadway. I would like to do a Broadway play. West End as well, you know, why not? So I would love to do, I just want to get to a point where, like right now when I see actors that I really admire who are at the top of their game, they're at the top of the industry, I'm at a point right now where I'm like, what kind of a person would I have to be like an actor who is at the top of my game? So that's kind of where I'm headed, where I'm like, yeah, I think winning awards and doing movies that do really well, like that's amazing. Of course, I think everyone wants to be, you know, do the best that they can in their career. But I'm like, I want that, but like, what kind of a person do I have to be to get there? So my goal is like being that person, if that makes any sense at all. So yeah, definitely have like film, TV, stage goals and all of that. Definitely want to produce, but I mostly just want to like level up in my own life and in my own ways and do things that terrify me. Like talking to camera as myself is so scary. I would rather be a character right now, but you know, it's like just do it and just try it once. You know, I said just try everything once, so here I am. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to continue following my journey, my Instagram is my first and last name, Kiana Moattari, all together.